Hi there, I'm Mistel Godlewski, an American girl who called the cornfields of Illinois home until over 10 years ago when I started navigating the chaos of life overseas. If you've ever felt that itch for something more, that whisper telling you to break free from the ordinary, you're in the right place. This podcast is your backstage pass to the wild ride of moving abroad. I'm here to pull back the curtain on the real journey, sharing stories that are funny, dramatic, and sometimes downright unbelievable. We'll explore the gritty details, from battling culture shock and navigating tricky visa processes to celebrating those small victories that make it all worth it. So whether you're daydreaming about a new life abroad or already in the thick of it, grab your passport and let's explore what it really means to live life beyond borders. Welcome to A Broadly Speaking. Hey there, friend. Welcome to the Broadly Speaking podcast. My name is Mistel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This one is going to be an episode all about money. Not the stop buying lattes and get financially disciplined way. We're not doing that here. I don't believe in that too much. You like coffee or wine or whatever. Let's not do that. We're going to calm down. So today we're going to talk about something sneakier, and it's still about money, but it's about the perfect number. You know the one. The amount of money you think you need to have saved before you finally move abroad. And somehow that number keeps changing. You get closer and it moves. You adjust your budgeting and moves again. Someone in a Facebook group somewhere said they needed 30 grand. So guess what? Your target is suddenly 30 grand. It's like chasing a toddler with a crayon. Every time you think you've secured it, it sprints to another room. So let's talk about why that happens and then what you can do instead so that you can actually move abroad in 2026. We're going to put the truth up front, and it might get a little bit uncomfortable, and I love you, but you need to hear it. Most of the time, your number that you're trying to reach didn't come from actual math. I'm sorry, it honestly came from fear. Fear loves round numbers, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. They sound secure, right? They sound achievable. They sound like it makes sense. But honestly, they mean absolutely nothing. And listen, I'm not here to shame you for wanting financial safety. Safety is great. We love safety. Honestly, we need safety. But if you never define what is safe enough, you end up saving forever and never actually going anywhere. So let's break down this all into something that you can actually use. Move abroad is not just one number. And I'm going to teach you today or share with you today what I teach my clients because I think this is super important. This is the part that everybody wants to skip over because nobody actually wants to talk about money. There are 3 different financial phases of your move abroad, and they each require a different amount of money and allow you to plan so you can actually get the fuck out. Ready? The before budget. That budget is all about paperwork, preparation, all the things that you need to do before you start your move. Then you have your during budget. That's your actual relocation. That's packing your shit, getting together, moving. And then you have your after budget, which is the first few months of living expenses in your new country so that you can actually survive. And what most people try to do is save for all 3 at once, upfront, blindly, with no structure, no understanding of how much you need, which is how the number keeps growing and shifting and feeling impossible. So what we're doing today is splitting these apart so that you know exactly what you need. So your brain can stop screaming about how much you need, and your money can actually start working for you so you can actually move abroad. So let's talk about phase 1. This is your before budget. This is things like passport renewals, birth certificates, marriage certificates, apostilles, background checks, visa fees, maybe an attorney if your case is weird, maybe a relocation consultant if you have extra money to burn. These costs are finite and knowable. You can literally Google them. This is the least mysterious part of your entire journey. And here's the kicker. This phase usually costs way less than your brain says it will. Like depending on the country, between $200 and $2,000. This is not a $10,000 problem, okay? This is literally a smaller issue because what you're paying for with this budget is your visa. You're paying to get in the door. Now, I will freely admit that some visas require you to have some level of savings in order to apply for them. That is absolutely true. And if your visa requires you to have some level of savings or some proof of income, you need to have that. I'm not going to try and tell you you don't. But what I do need you to know is that number does not always mean 10 grand up front, right? That could mean very different things to very many different people in all the countries. If you're applying with a job offer, if you're applying with retirement savings, those things are very different than the amount of money that you need to move. So right now we're talking about how much money you need to make the move abroad, right? So in your before budget, depending on the visa fees, you're talking somewhere between $200 and $2,000 on average. The more people you're moving, so if you're moving your husband and your kids and your dog and all that kind of stuff, certainly that will require a bit more money because it's per person that you need a visa, but you're not talking 10 grand. So you can get started with as little as about $2,000 to $3,000 on your move. Okay. You do not need 10 grand. I love you. And stop with the really bizarre, randomly selected numbers. The next stop is your during budget. So this is where people panic because this is where the visible spending happens. This is where you're likely going to look at bigger numbers of money and go, ah! And your brain's going to panic. The reality is you have to pay for flights. If you're moving your belongings, you're going to be paying for that or not. You're going to need temporary housing, and you're probably also going to need a first rent deposit. This is all the phase that is completely adjustable. You don't have to move all your furniture. You do not have to live in the cool neighborhood first. You do not need to fully furnish an apartment all at once the day you move in. You don't need luxury. You need a landing pad. This is not a movie montage. This is logistics. When we moved abroad, we had a relocation package, right? So the company my husband was working for gave us money to move our stuff abroad. Honest to God, if I had it all over to do again, we wouldn't have moved most of our shit. We would have really narrowed down and bought most of our furniture when we arrived. Why? Because, oh my God, most of the shit didn't fit in our house, right? We had a big queen sleigh bed. Do you know what doesn't exist in Switzerland or all over Europe? Queen size sheets. So when I wanted to replace the queen size mattress on my queen size bed, I had to buy a whole new freaking bed. Or new sheets required me to fly back to the United States to pick them up, put them in my luggage, and fly back to Switzerland. There are things that make sense to bring. I absolutely agree. Your grandmother's china that means so much to you, yeah, go ahead and bring it. The children's toys that make your kids feel like home, absolutely bring those. But you do not need to bring your entire household worth of furniture because your household worth of furniture is not going to fit. I love you, and it's not going to fit. And it's an IKEA bookshelf that you can rebuy here. You can sell for what, $20 in the US? Come here, buy the same one or buy a newer version of it, rebuild it, and you have something new. You don't need it on day one because you're not moving your books with you. It's a really good way to save money. The same applies for temporary housing. You do not need a super huge apartment. You're not going to be there except to sleep. You're going to be exploring your new place to live. So when you move in, we moved into a teeny tiny one bedroom when we first moved in our temporary housing while we waited because we needed to find permanent housing. So we moved into a teeny tiny one bedroom. Why? Because we didn't need a lot of space. We probably could have even lived in a studio. We didn't need a lot of space with just the two of us. When we moved with my daughter, there were the three of us. She had her own bedroom. Yes, we moved into a tiny 2-bedroom. Now, our permanent home had 3 bedrooms and an office and everything else because that's what we needed for our lives or what we wanted for our lives. But you don't have to move into the cool place first. You just have to get out there, right? So no, you cannot stay in a hotel or a hostel when you first move, maybe for a night or two, but that's not a permanent residence. But stay in an efficiency apartment, stay in a business suite that exists, right? So save money where you can. All right, we're taking a quick break because apparently I'm supposed to promote my offers or whatever the online business girlies are calling it these days. If you're tired of planning this move alone and convincing yourself you just need one more spreadsheet, it's time to join the Departure Lounge. It's my community for people who are done Googling, done spiraling, and honestly just need someone to tell them what to do before they lose their minds. You get support, answers, and the place to panic productively. We do visas, money, timelines, the real stuff without any any of the delusional TikTok nonsense. Come hang out. It's the only corner of the internet where moving abroad is normal and you don't have to pretend you're fine. I'll drop the link in the show notes, or you can DM me departure on Instagram and we'll get you in. But again, those become fixed cost eventually, but they're completely adjustable based on what you're willing to live with and how long you're willing to live with it. So that during phase can be cheap or it can be very expensive, but you can make it more cost effective if you try. The after budget is the thing that most people forget to budget for, which is wild because it's the one that actually matters. These are things like rent and groceries, healthcare, school stuff, phone plans, your daily life. And here's the helpful part. You don't actually have to guess about these costs. You can look them up using tools on the internet like Numbeo, Expatisan, local Facebook groups, research local apartments, like not the expat influencer fantasy listings, but local apartments. This phase is where clarity happens, and clarity reduces the panic, and reduced panic reduces this need to save for a perfect number. That being said, you will need likely to have some sort of gap insurance for your healthcare. But once you've been in a country for a specific amount of time, for example, in France, it's 3 months. In Austria, it's once you have a job. In Germany, I believe it's 1 month. In Switzerland, it's upon arrival. You have to have health insurance. And then you can potentially get onto the standard health plan. Once you're on the standard health plan, those healthcare costs go away for the most part or drastically reduce. You can go to the pharmacy website and often see how much it's going to cost you to have, for example, your regular prescriptions. I can almost guarantee you in every case, they're cheaper abroad than what you're paying for your copay in the United States. Okay. So things like that. I will admit, living in Switzerland, we have a very high cost of living, very, very high cost of living. So yes, I go to the store and look and see that one chicken breast can cost me $6. Okay, I realize that. So maybe we eat something else more often, or we balance that, or we look at where else we can cut in our budget because that's important to us. So the after budget is your daily living, the things that actually matter to living there and being successful. Use what your job salary is going to be. Make sure you know the difference between gross and net. Your gross salary is your pre-tax salary. Your net salary is your take-home salary. So look at that. Take a look at what that means for you, what that does for you on a monthly basis. Make sure that you have that planned out and use your budgets so that you're not saving for some ridiculously astronomical number that isn't valid, right? Look at what you actually need. The fact that you're trying to assign a number is absolutely not a problem. The uncertainty is the problem. If you don't know what things actually cost, your brain fills in the blanks with the worst case scenarios because your brain's number one job is to keep you alive, not to help you dream big. So when you say, I need 25 grand to move abroad, what you actually mean is, I have no idea what this costs and I don't want to crash and burn in public. And that's totally fair. It's human, it's relatable, but you can't plan around a feeling. You can plan around information. So here's what's helpful for you. And I hope that you take this to heart. You do not need a perfect number. What you need to move abroad is a country, a visa type, a general timeline, and a breakdown of each of the budget phases and a monthly savings plan that maps out to those phases. Whether that's $50 a week, $5 a day, $500 a month, whatever that is, progress is not measured by speed, it is measured by direction. So if you can put $1 a day away every day for the month of December, you have $31 towards your move abroad. And yeah, maybe that doesn't seem a lot. Maybe that feels like, seriously, that's nothing. But that's something towards that first budget, right? So you have to plan for the first budget, the before budget. If you have the $200 or to $2,000, you're already now ready for the first budget to be done. You're ready to start that process. And now you need to look at the after or the during budget. What are your flight costs going to be? What are your visa costs we figured out? So what are your flight costs going to be? Are you moving your shit? Start getting quotes and estimations about how much that's going to cost you. Maybe you're thinking now, okay, but I don't know how to do all this. Like, how in the world do I get to the point where I know what I need and I can do it? I hope that's you, because that's where the part where support matters. This is literally what I'm going to do in December inside the Departure Lounge. We're going to find out and help you figure out how much you need to move abroad so you don't go broke abroad. We have a 2-day challenge coming up in December where we go through the before budget and we really go into detail all the way through your before budget so you can set this up and be ready to go. I want you to know that you don't have to be free floating in anxiety, and actually you can move abroad in 2026. You can afford it. You can do it. You just need to figure out how, and I'm here to help you do it. You don't have to figure this out alone. You just have to stop waiting for some mythical amount of money to magically make you brave. Bravery doesn't come from some magical creature. It comes from structure and support. So if you're ready to actually map this out, go to the show notes, find the link for the Departure Lounge, join the challenge for December. We have in the Departure Lounge, actually, we have all the way through, we go through all the phases that you need to move abroad. You can spend a month with us. You can spend a year with us, whatever feels best for you. You come and go as you want, what works for you, what doesn't. There's no pressure. There's no panic. There's no sell everything and move to Bali vibes. We give you clarity and direction and movement. You honestly don't need the perfect number. You just need a plan that works with what you've got. And I promise you, you are closer than you think. All right, my friend, that's it for this episode. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in to A Broadly Speaking. If today's episode got you dreaming a little bigger or thinking a little braver, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready for their own adventure. And hey, don't be a stranger. Come hang out with me over on Instagram at @IamMestelle for the real, unfiltered life abroad. Keep that passport handy, and remember, life's too short to stay in one place.